Every year, NFL players break out and burst onto the scene in ways we don't expect. Just 2 years ago, Patrick Mahomes went from a player with one start in his NFL career to a 5,000-yard 50 passing touchdown season at the age of 23. He rightfully so earned his first of many trips to the Pro Bowl that year. And last year, we saw Lamar Jackson go from a player who threw just 6 passing touchdowns in year number 1 to a player who threw 36 touchdowns in year number 2. There will be a few players in 2020 who break out and emerge and go to the first Pro Bowl of their career. There's also going to be some veterans who have put together solid seasons so far in their career, but have never made the Pro Bowl to this point. In today's video, we're going to discuss some players who are very capable of having great seasons and ultimately going to Orlando at season's end. But before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now let's begin. Let's get this out of the way. If I choose a player to make their first Pro Bowl or think they have the ability to, this isn't me throwing shade at their team's success and saying their team won't go to the Super Bowl. This is strictly players that will have personal success and have the capability of winding up on the Pro Bowl roster. And the first player who can make his first Pro Bowl in 2020 is Bills wide receiver Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs left the Vikings with 2 1,000-yard seasons to his name, but surprisingly 0 Pro Bowls. He has accumulated over 360 catches, over 4,600 yards, and 30 touchdowns in his 5-year career. He will, for the first time, get to be the undisputed number 1 option at receiver on his team. He will certainly have the opportunities in Buffalo, and with a young quarterback and a gunslinger mentality like Josh Allen, he's not afraid to take risks, and Stefon will get a lot of big play chances. Diggs averaged a career-high 17 yards per catch in 2019 and had his second straight 1,000-yard season. He will be almost guaranteed to receive more targets in Buffalo than he did in the Twin Cities and should put up some very good numbers in his first year in Buffalo. I don't think a 100-catch, 1,200-yard, 10-touchdown season is out of the equation for Stefon. He will turn just 27 in late November, and he should head to Orlando for his first of hopefully many Pro Bowls in 2020. The next player who can make his first career Pro Bowl this year is Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. For 3 straight years, second-year quarterbacks have either been in position to win an MVP or have flat-out won the MVP, and this trend started back in 2017 with Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. To think Kyler can be the next one to do that is a little far-fetched at this point in time, but the Pro Bowl certainly for him is not out of the equation. In his rookie season alone, Kyler had over 4,200 total yards and 24 touchdowns. He showed a lot of promise from a young player and will be just 23 years old. In the offseason, his team did him a service as they acquired one of the best receivers in the NFL in DeAndre Hopkins, and even without him, the Cardinals had a solid young receiving core with players like Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella, and Hakeem Butler. They also have one of the best ever in veteran Larry Fitzgerald. Kyler is in a prime position to succeed in 2020, and for him to throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns on his way to his first Pro Bowl isn't out of the question. That goes without mentioning his running statistics as well. Kyler should have a 35 total touchdown year in 2020 and end up in Orlando. The next player who could make their first Pro Bowl in 2020 is Raiders running back Josh Jacobs. In his rookie season alone, Jacobs had 1,150 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. He had a very productive rookie season, and he had 5 100-yard rushing games in 2019. In addition to this, he averaged nearly 5 yards per carry. And while he accomplished all of this, he did it in just 13 games. Converting that to a full 16-game season, and Jacobs as a rookie at 21 years old would have had a 1,400-yard rushing season. That is absurd. And to put that into perspective, Saquon Barkley nor Christian McCaffrey did that in their rookie years. Jacobs is a very talented running back, and to think he could have a 12 or even 1,400-yard year this year isn't unrealistic. Adding first-round receiver Henry Ruggs will only help Josh Jacobs in the sense that the defense has to account for another man on the team, because if they do not and focus too much on Josh, then Derek will hit Ruggs over the top on the defense for an easy touchdown. Josh Jacobs will emerge in 2020 and be a very good running back, and if he stays healthy, he will more than likely go to his first career Pro Bowl. The next player who could make his first Pro Bowl in 2020 is Steelers linebacker Devin Bush. In his rookie season, Bush became a good quality starter, as he had over 100 tackles, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, and 4 fumble recoveries. He even had a defensive touchdown, and he will more than likely be a starter on that defense for the next decade, as he will enter the 2020 season at just 22 years old. The Steelers look to have a very good defense for the foreseeable future, as Bush, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt are all 25 or younger. Both Watt and Minkah made the Pro Bowl in 2019, and I think this year it's possible all 3 of them make it. They will certainly be battle-tested, with 3 Heisman winners in their division at quarterback, and one of them being the reigning MVP in Lamar Jackson. But if they can overcome that, there's no reason Devin Bush can't go to the Pro Bowl in 2020. If Bush has a solid second year, then chances are he'll be in a video similar to this next year as well, as he will enter next year at just 23. Bush will more than likely be selected to multiple Pro Bowls in his career, and if he stays healthy and the trajectory he is currently on, the sky is the limit. The next player who can make his first Pro Bowl in 2020 is Titans receiver A.J. Brown. In his rookie season, Brown had over 1,000 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns, and averaged over 20 yards per catch. He had 4 100-yard receiving games in his last 6, with 5 of his 8 touchdowns coming in those games as well. Brown's future looks very bright, and he connected really well with quarterback Ryan Tannehill down the final stretch of the season. For anyone looking to knock A.J. Brown and say he only had 5 catches for 64 yards in 3 postseason games, that's not exactly fair, as the team didn't throw the ball much in those games, and who could blame them with the way Derrick Henry was running the ball. Regardless, A.J. should have a good second year, and with the chemistry he showed with Ryan Tannehill, they should pick up right where they left off and continue to keep A.J. doing well like he was towards the end of last season. If he can play like that, then he will be a shoo-in for the Pro Bowl this year and for many years to come. The next player who can make his first Pro Bowl in 2020 is Bears linebacker Roquan Smith. In the first 2 years of his career, Roquan has amassed over 220 tackles and 7 sacks for the Bears. They drafted him out of Georgia 8th overall back in 2018, and for as far as they're concerned, he's been a great player. He can take the next step in 2020 and become a Pro Bowler for the first time in his young career. He is just 23 years old and will be looking to go over 100 tackles for the 3rd time already in his career, but for the first time he will be looking to end the season in the Sunshine State. Roquan is a beast and will be the next great Bears linebacker, and if he doesn't get there this year, you can bet he will in the next season or 2. The next player who can make his first career Pro Bowl in 2020 is Viking safety Anthony Harris. In 2019, Anthony Harris was tied for leading the league in interceptions with 6 and was snubbed out of a Pro Bowl. His teammate Xavier Rhodes made the Pro Bowl though, and while that was a joke in itself, as Xavier was awful in all of 2019, that's a completely different discussion. Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith make up the best safety duo in the NFL, and hopefully both of them make the Pro Bowl this upcoming season. While they both should have last year, they ultimately did not, and that's why Harris is a topic in today's video. Harris is playing the 2020 season on the franchise tag and is going to be 29 at the season's start, and should be either still in his prime from a great 2019 season or start to fall a little bit from the player he was last year. Regardless, even if he falls off a hair, he should still make the Pro Bowl, because the battle for a lot of these players, like Anthony Harris, like Patrick Peterson in the early 2010s, and like Jalen Ramsey a few years ago, ironically all defensive backs, is playing in the small markets compared to teams like the Cowboys and the Chiefs, where people watch them play all the time. If Harris has anywhere close to as good of a year in 2020 as he had in 2019, he will surely end up in Orlando. The final player that can make their first career Pro Bowl in 2020 is Eagles running back Miles Sanders. In his rookie season, Sanders had over 1,300 yards of offense and was a bright spot on a very injury-ridden team. He played in all 16 games, but started in just 11. He will surely receive more opportunities in year 2 after a very impressive year 1. In his final year at Penn State, he played behind a running back that turned out to be a pretty good player named Saquon Barkley, but Miles was very good in his final year there and in his rookie year. He had over 800 yards rushing in 2019, and in 5 of those games had less than 10 carries. It's also worth noting he averaged nearly 4.6 yards per carry, and in addition to getting Miles the ball would be wise for Philly, as in games he had 15 carries, the Eagles were 3-1. Conversely, in games when he had 6 carries or less, they were just 1 and 2, including 2 blowout losses to the Vikings and to Dallas. Getting Miles the football will be key for their 2020 success as well as team health, and ultimately if Miles plays as well as he did in his rookie season at a higher volume, he will make the Pro Bowl in 2020. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like, it helps a ton. And if you're still watching, I appreciate the time out of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Skol Vikes.